Good evening, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Mesa County, I'd like to welcome everyone to this evening's Candidates Forum. I'm Jan Mormon. I'm the president of the local league and a resident of Grand Junction. Also with me this evening are Dr. Justin Golub, who will be our moderator, and Martine Betterlongo, who will be providing translation, live translation to our Spanish attendees, and of course, all of our candidates. I'd like to ask Martine to quickly explain how our Spanish attendees can access the Spanish language service. Martine?
Hello, I'm Martine Betterlongo, the Spanish interpreter for tonight's forum. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for providing interpretation for this forum and supporting efforts of language justice. I will give the instructions for accessing the interpretation in Spanish now. Hola, soy Martín Betterlongo y actuaré de intérprete para el foro de esta noche. Quiero agradecer a la Liga de Mujeres Votantes por proveer servicios de interpretación para este foro y apoyar esfuerzos de justicia lingüística. Cuando la interpretación esté activada, verán un globito aparecer en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Para acceder a la interpretación, deben ir a ese globito, presionarlo y de ahí presionar el canal en español. Y de ahí me van a escuchar a mí principalmente. Ok, muchas gracias. Estoy listo para empezar. All right, I'm ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martine. The League of Women Voters is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that encourages citizens to actively participate in their government. And we also inform voters of public policy issues. And we work to influence public policy that we believe is good and will strengthen democracy. And Mesa County is a place where there's a lot of attention on politics. And so I'd like just to take a moment to talk about Mesa County. Mesa County has over 157,000 people living in it in 15 communities, making Mesa County the only metropolitan area in Colorado that is not on the Front Range. And as our candidates share with us tonight their vision for the future for Mesa County, I want to recognize the rich history of Mesa County with the history of the indigenous Ute Nation, as well as the Spanish explorers and settlers that have been here before us. As we listen to our candidates, we have candidates tonight that are running for county clerk and recorder, Mr. Robert Ballard, Ms. Bobby Gross, and Mr. Jeffrey Walden. For the office of Mesa County Commissioner for District 2, we have Ms. Bobby Daniel and Mr. Charlie Pink. And for Mesa County Coroner, we have Dr. Dean Havlick and Ms. Megan Johnson. Tonight's forum is a town hall style, where each of the candidates will be for each office will be responding to the same question. It is not a debate. The questions that we will be asking are issues that are important to residents in Mesa County. And we have given a lot of care and thought about these questions. And I want to thank everyone who has worked on these questions and submitted these questions, because the League believes that asking questions of our elected officials and candidates is the sign of a healthy democracy. The order that we're going to go in this evening will start with the county clerk and recorder, followed by the office for county commissioner, and then wrapping up with our forum for coroner. This forum will be recorded, and you can access this video afterwards through the State League Facebook page. So that's League of Women Voters of Colorado Facebook page, or the League of Women Voters Colorado YouTube channel, and also on vote411.org. So all of the forums that have been hosted for Colorado will be available in these 3 locations. The recordings that we make are the property of the League of Women Voters, and they cannot be reused without our written permission. So with that, I'd like to introduce our moderator for this evening, Dr. Justin Golub, who has graciously helped the League in Mesa County host any number of these forums. Dr. Golub is a professor of political science at Colorado Mesa University, where he teaches American government, legislative process, and political behavior. His goal is to create informed consumers of politics and effective contributors and producers of political information. And with that introduction, I would like to turn this over to you, Dr. Golub.
Thank you, Ms. Mormon. And I'd like to welcome all our candidates for office for Mesa County Clerk and Recorder, County Commission, and Coroner for being here with us this evening. I would also like to welcome the voters of Mesa County, and we especially appreciate you taking your responsibility as voters seriously. This evening's candidates, they have received the questions. They will be asked in advance, and we did this to allow them time to be able to compose thoughtful, meaningful answers. We're going to allow 1 minute for each candidate to answer each question, and our timekeeper, Deb Kalish, will raise time cards to show the candidates the amount of time that they have remaining to speak. And at this point, I'd like to thank Deb for her service with us this evening. The candidates are aware that when their time is elapsed, they may finish their current sentence, but they must stop speaking afterwards. The candidates are also aware that they're required to treat the moderator and participants in this forum with respect. For each office, I'll begin with the description of the duties and responsibilities of that office. Next, the candidates will describe their qualifications for performing the duties of that office, and I'll proceed with the questions for the office at that point. We've agreed to have the speakers present their responses in alphabetical order for each question. A forum such as the one we're holding tonight allows voters to learn whether candidates have thought about the priorities for their office in a meaningful way. And it also allows them to be able to show what they'll do to achieve those priorities if elected to office. We ask that you listen carefully, see if the candidates are providing that essential information to be able to help you make your decision. And now let's begin the forum, and we'll begin with the County Clerk and Recorder. So joining us tonight are Robert Ballard, Bobby Gross, and Jeffrey Walden. A quick description of the Clerk and Recorder's office. The clerk has 4 areas of responsibility: elections, motor vehicles, public records, and recording and maintaining the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners' public meetings. The Elections Division is, among other things, responsible for administering and certifying the results of elections. It's charged with carrying the duties out in accordance with state and federal law, as well as maintaining the accuracy and security of election processes and results. The Motor Vehicle Division assists with driver's licenses, recording of vehicle sales and purchases, and other vehicle-related matters. So with that quick introduction, I am now going to hand it off to the candidates. And as a reminder, Robert Ballard will answer the question first, followed by Bobby Gross and Jeffrey Walden. So the first question, with 1 minute for a response. Robert Ballard, please tell us why you're running for this office, paying particular attention to your qualifications for the office.
Hi, thank you. So I saw the controversy that was surrounding this office come down on our county and really inflict some pain and some hurt on our community. And I'm the type of person that likes to fix things. So I went and I worked in the elections office in 2021 and also with the subsequent hand recount. And I learned a couple things. First, our election system here in Mesa County is secure. And the other thing is that we have a lot of experienced and skilled employees in that office and in motor vehicles, but what they're really lacking right now is someone to provide that leadership and management that they're so desperate for. And that's something that I can provide. I've got 13 years in the military. I'm an officer in the Colorado Army National Guard. I understand what it's like to be responsible for millions of dollars of equipment. And with my bachelor's degree in management, I know how to build up a team and have them all moving in the same direction. And then finally, as a business owner, I know what works well on the private sector side, and I want to take that and apply it to the county clerk and recorder's office.
Thank you, Bobby Gross.
Sorry, I had to find the unmute button. So I have a passion for the clerk's office and the services it provides to the citizens of Mesa County. I worked in the clerk's office beginning in 2007, and I'm currently at the treasurer and public trustee's office. While working in the clerk's office, I led and managed a staff of 17 in the motor vehicle department. And I worked on legislative committees and legislator to help implement not only the statewide software system that was implemented in 2018, but I also helped change unnecessary laws that made it more difficult to register classic cars. In 2016, I had the opportunity to work and be the co-director of elections. While I was there, I became certified in Colorado as an elections administrator. And in 2020, I became nationally certified as elections administrator through Auburn University. I'm familiar with all the duties and requirements that surround the clerk's office, and I will bring that support, experience, leadership, and heart to the clerk's office that will support the staff and the citizens deserve. Thank you.
Jeffrey Walden, 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Walden. I earned my bachelor's and Master of Arts degrees in political science and public administration, have worked as a specialist in operations for a large financial institution, worked for my local Republican congressman running constituent services and doing legal research out of the DC office, spent 23 years teaching American government, politics, and public policy, and served as an election judge in 2020. I'm running as a nonpartisan public administrator and a defender of our 246-year-old republic to rebuild the public trust in this oldest of institutions, to build up our public education campaign, and to completely overhaul the hiring, training, professional development, and retention of highly qualified staff. I believe my demonstrated leadership and organizational skills, supervisory and management styles will usher in a more productive, inclusive, and positive work environment with a focus on professionalism and customer service in our effort to restore public trust and confidence in this office.
Thank you. The second question goes to Robert Ballard. And that question is, what is your vision for the clerk and recorder's office? And what is the most important thing you will do to achieve that vision?
So my vision for the clerk and recorder's office is I want this office to be the cornerstone of integrity, transparency, and stewardship, insulated from all of the national politics that have inflicted that pain on our community. And the best way we can do this is by getting the community involved, working with community leaders on both sides of the aisles, people that have concerns, people that don't, and bring them all together. That means encouraging more election watchers, encouraging more election judges, so that way we've got more eyes on our election system. I think that integrity requires transparency, and I'm going to foster an environment that exudes that.
Bobby Gross, same question.
There's a few things that I think we can improve at the clerk's office. And one of them is I have a vision of making a one-stop shop. So a lot of times working with the treasurer and public trustees, I've learned how intertwined the clerk's office is with not only the treasurer, the public trustee, the assessor's office. And I'd like to make it so citizens they can navigate one office versus several to accomplish their transactions. So that's one of the things I think we can work with in the motor vehicle department and recording. The other thing I think that we can do is we can do more motor vehicle transactions over the phone, through the mail, through email, so that people don't necessarily have to come down if they don't have time. It's very important that we keep our satellite offices open. And I've had the discussion of moving the Clifton office into the community center, where I think it would better serve the community, that people can visit when they're dropping off their kids. With the elections, thank you.
Jeff Walden, your response, please.
My vision is to restore the clerk's office to its proper statutory role within Mesa County government and to ensure each department is providing the highest level of professional service to the citizens of Mesa County. The clerk has one overriding duty: to ensure that the laws are faithfully executed. That requires courage and character, trusted, competent leadership, guidance and oversight of daily operations. It also requires a well-trained staff who feel like they are supported and appreciated. These are the civil servants who work in our community every day. Overall, I will be looking to fix what may have been broken and find ways to improve upon that which works well. Until recently, there was nothing this office did on a daily basis that merited the attention of the local media, let alone the National Press Corps. That's the way it should be, and I intend to keep it that way.
Robert Ballard, what's the greatest challenge facing the clerk and recorder's office, and how will you address it?
Yeah, so surprisingly enough, it won't be, unfortunately, restoring voter trust. While that's going to be a big measure, I think the hardest thing that we're going to deal with is securing the funding that we need in order to do our job. We've got a lot of issues with staffing. We've got a lot of issues with our building that we're in. And I want to develop a 5 to 10 year plan that I can present to the county commissioners. They can get on board. We can trap that funding so that way our county clerk and recorder's office is able to ebb and flow with the economy and grow with the Grand Valley.
Your answer, please, Bobby Gross.
So I think there's a few challenges that the clerk's office is facing, and one is staff turnover. So under my leadership and experience, I can provide that support that they need to be successful. The other challenge is to bring trust back in our elections. And there's a few things that we can start by doing that. I believe of having the conversation and bringing our neighbors in and showing them the process. I think if we brought them in and we can show them the process, then they would have better confidence in our elections. I also believe that we should be able to even beef up our audits. So right now, the Secretary of State brings in and tells us how many to select. And I think that we can have the citizens select some of those ballots to audit as well, just to keep transparency in there. And I also believe in keeping the cameras on and putting them online so people can view them in their downtime.
Jeffrey Walden.
To become clerk is to hold one of the oldest, most trusted positions in any government anywhere in the world, from ancient Greece to 12th century England to America today. Restoring public trust and confidence in this office may be the biggest challenge. Staffing would be a close second. I'm up to the challenge and know that rebuilding trust in the wake of the outgoing clerk will not be easy. I have confidence it can be accomplished in part with a more aggressive and sustained voter education campaign. Rebuilding the leadership team and completely revamping the process for hiring, training, and professional development opportunities should greatly improve the retention of highly qualified staff, reduce turnover, enhance institutional memory, and greatly improve the department's primary goal, to provide outstanding customer service across the board every day.
Question about the Motor Vehicles Division, Robert Ballard. Citizens expect and deserve that county office services will be accessible and convenient to them. In your opinion, how does an accessible and convenient office operate, and how would you achieve that vision?
Yeah, so those two words, accessible and convenience, what that looks like in the clerk and recorder's office is consistent office hours, offices that are consistently open, lines that are reasonable, and then finally, reliable workflow. And all of these kind of stem around our workforce. We have a high turnover, and the reason for that is because our employees are able to go seek employment at other places with the skills that they have to be good clerks at other employments. And the reason why this is causing all of our problems is because with lack of staffing, our doors can't stay open, our lines are longer. And then when we have high turnover, those experienced clerks are finding jobs elsewhere and aren't able to train the newer clerks in the workflow process. So we have a few more inaccuracies.
1 minute, Bobby Gross.
So I appreciate the satellite offices for sure and believe they're important to serve our outer communities. And I'm glad that the county has made a commitment to keep them open. I've had conversations to see, again, if we can move it to the Clifton Center that's going to open. That will save budget, and I think it'll be more convenient for the people that are visiting that community building. I also believe that we can continue to make improvements and reduce wait times and streamline processes to eliminate waste. And I'll be that clerk that tracks those improvements to make sure that we're continuing to improve those wait times. And also, I believe that we can expand some hours and keep them consistent for sure.
Same question, Jeff Walden.
Efficiency and consistency. I assume all Mesa County facilities are ADA compliant. Hours of operations are standardized and many services across county government are available online. The satellite offices in Fruita and Clifton should be open full-time if feasible and on a rotating basis if demand is not sufficient. The main office has something of a front-facing information center. I believe that first point of contact should be reimagined and incorporated into the facilities pending remodel. There is a current course offering inside Mesa County, a series of classes free to the public to learn more about Mesa County government operations. I would strongly encourage the county to have more than one offering per year and would encourage the public to sign up to become better informed. This helps the public know of and better understand how to take advantage of all our services. Voter education is key and will be a large part of my focus if elected.
Now some questions about the elections division. In your opinion, are current Colorado election laws and regulations adequate to keep election results secure and accurate? We'd ask that you please explain your answer. And Robert Ballard, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Yeah, so here in Colorado, we have a good election system, but there is no perfect system out there, and we should always strive for a more perfect system. And here at the county clerk's level, what that looks like is ensuring that our checks and balances and our chains of custody are reinforced. We can improve things like camera systems, but at the Colorado level, I want to work with legislatures to help clean up our voter registry system. We have a situation right now where people are moving and their ballots aren't going where their new residences are. And this is a problem on both sides of the aisle. People are having troubles with voter access. And then finally, also, it caused this perception of lack of integrity that we want to avoid.
Bobby Gross, 1 minute.
So I believe that we have good laws and regulations in place to keep our elections secure and accurate, but I believe we can always make improvements to the processes and procedures. I think we can always go above and beyond what's required. And I also believe that we can improve our voter rolls to ensure accuracy. We can improve signature verification procedures and training for our election judges. I support having the citizens select ballots that we audit in addition to the ballots that the Secretary of State supports. And I support having the cameras online for public viewing. I think it's important that we have that transparency and accuracy in our elections, and I think we can achieve that.
Jeff Walden.
Yes, Colorado's elections are safe, secure, accurate, and transparent. Senate Bill 250 was recently passed to further guard against bad actors or an insider threat like the one posed by the outgoing clerk when she questioned the integrity of our elections. This is precisely why candidate quality counts in every race, nationally, statewide, right on down to Mesa County Clerk. Laws, however, are not enough. Election security also rests on voters. Mesa County simply cannot afford another rogue clerk who cost the county millions of your tax dollars in legal fees. Fortunately for Mesa County, our elections are run by an award-winning staff and a host of bipartisan residents, our friends and neighbors, Democrats, Republicans, unaffiliated, all of whom work every day to ensure our elections follow the law. The result is a free and fair election.
Question for Robert Ballard. In your opinion, were the results reported and certified by the clerk's office in the 2020 Mesa County election accurate? Please explain your answer.
Yeah, so I looked at all 3 reports by the outgoing clerk. I listened to the DA's report. I looked into concerns put out by the US EIP. And then I've also done research with people that I know that are in software development on both sides of the aisle on this issue. And what I can see is that here in Mesa County, our elections were reported accurately. And the reason why I bring up all the things that I've done is because I think that's really important. I think that citizens on all sides of the aisle can have concerns about their election system, and they should be able to trust to be able to come to their clerk and recorder regarding those concerns and be treated with respect.
Same question to Bobby Gross.
So I do believe the results were accurate in Mesa County. I looked at the results and it's a reflection of how the county has voted in the past. The trend continues to be that way. So I believe that the results were accurate. Not only that, but the election also passed the risk limiting audit, and it was certified by both parties, the Republican and the Democratic Party. And so I believe that it was accurate here in Mesa County.
1 minute, Jeff Walden.
The 2020 election results were accurate, certified as correct here and in all 50 state legislatures. To date, no evidence has been submitted or survived judicial scrutiny in any state or federal court that proves beyond a reasonable doubt there was massive fraud or that the process was somehow rigged and the election stolen. Those election lies have seen the 3 people entrusted to run our elections arrested, indicted, 1 conviction, and 2 pending trials. This is why I say the outgoing clerk violated her oath of office. She failed to faithfully execute the law, and she betrayed the public trust when she told us there was something wrong with our elections. The only thing wrong with the 2020 election was that some candidates were hoping for a different result, and they came up with a new, more divisive, and highly destructive excuse for why they lost. Can't hear you.
Yep, sorry, having a problem with the mute button there. Move on to the next question. How would you respond if you disagreed with an action taken by the Colorado Secretary of State, Robert Ballard?
Yeah, so political disagreements happen from time to time, especially in a professional environment. It's really important to have that direct correspondence between someone that is overseeing your jurisdiction. But when that's just not capable of happening, we have resources at the Mesa County level. We have the Mesa County attorney that you can turn to and explore what other legal recourse we can take to represent the county in a proper way, and more importantly, in a legal way. So there's multiple things that we can do without going into subterfuge.
Bobby Gross.
So I think that you have to come to the conversation and see where you can find some common ground that would work for all. I believe in coming to the table for the discussion and being open and listening to both sides of the aisle. I believe that, if I really disagree, there's the Clerks Association. It's another good tool for the clerks to have their voices heard. And I also believe that, if it still didn't work and I still disagreed with them, then there's also the legal counsel that we could use in the judicial. And if it needs to go that far, but I would hope to bring that conversation together first.
Jeff Walden, same question.
I would respond respectfully, follow the advice of legal counsel, and strictly adhere to the statutory authority granted to clerks by the state of Colorado. That said, clerks are subordinate to secretaries of state, meaning the secretary is the boss, clerks are employees. Directives are just that, and assuming they are lawful, clerks are obligated by statute and their oath of office to execute that in good faith. If a clerk disagrees, they can challenge the order in a court of law. That decision is binding and final. Outright refusal to follow a lawful order would likely result in serious legal consequences or subject the clerk to a recall. To repeat, the clerk has but one overriding duty: to faithfully execute the law. And I have no intentions of becoming the second consecutive Mesa County clerk to be indicted for egregious professional misconduct.
Back to Robert Ballard. The question is, what role should hand counting votes play in Mesa County elections? Please limit your answers to hand counting only.
So hand counts are it's a tool that the county clerk can use to audit the cast vote record. And you can either do a full recount, or you can do what others have suggested by randomly selecting ballots to hand count and again compare to that cast vote record. I think that again it's a tool, and it's not something that we want to rely on an annual basis, especially a full hand recount, because it does require a lot of resources and man hours. With that said, I think doing a partial audit of the cast vote record is definitely an option if it means that we are going to rebuild trust in our election system.
Bobby Gross, same question.
So there are provisions in law for hand counting ballots in the case of equipment failure. Hand counting is part of the testing procedure before an election to ensure the equipment is working properly. Not only that, the commissioners paid for a hand count in 2021 to prove the count was accurate, and I believe that just helped bring trust back into our elections. Hand counting has a place in our procedures. And from my experience, I can tell you that hand counting is not as accurate as the machine counting is. And I feel like if a candidate doesn't trust the results in the machines and they want to pay for a hand count, then I'd say you pay for the hand count. We can hire the people, but you pay for it. And I just think by blocking those hand counts, it looks like we're not being transparent. So if a candidate wanted to put up the money to fund that completely, I would do that. It shouldn't be the burden of the taxpayers to ensure that the candidate thinks that count is accurate.
Jeff Walden.
I personally participated in the hand count of 2021, along with a couple hundred of our fellow citizens. We proved beyond any reasonable doubt the accuracy of the machine count was certifiably correct. Hand counts are a massive undertaking in terms of staff, volunteers, and time required to process ballots. Hand counts will certainly not produce election night results and will potentially delay the certification of election for days. Hand counts are massively expensive and are likely to produce more mistakes than machine counts simply due to the human factor. Election equipment is considered national critical infrastructure, protected at the highest levels of government, and is therefore part of the reasons our elections at home and across the country are safe and secure.
And this will be the final question for our clerk and recorder candidates this evening. And that question goes to Robert Ballard. And the question is, the League of Women Voters strongly supports equal access to ballots. Should the clerk and recorder's office print ballots in Spanish for Spanish-speaking voters, even though it's not required by law? Please explain your answer.
So I've been trying to learn Spanish for the past year and a half now, and I can tell you reading Spanish is really hard to comprehend everything in it. And when I read the ballot measures in English, my native language, it's really hard to comprehend some of the stuff that's in them. So yeah, I can totally see how it's really hard for Spanish-speaking voters to struggle with those ballot measures. With that said, we do have Spanish options, but they would have to go into the voter center and vote on the voter tablets. And in regards to mailing out Spanish ballots, and the Spanish blue books, if we have the infrastructure and the data available to know who is a native Spanish speaker, then I think that's something that we definitely should explore.
Thank you, Bobby Gross.
So there is a law in place. If the Spanish speakers make up 5% of the population, then we must supply those materials. Mesa County has yet to reach that percentage. If funding is available, the clerk could provide the ballots without reaching that percentage. They could provide those ballots in Spanish without reaching that percentage. In the meantime, what would be a good workaround is we might be able to provide the ballot questions online in Spanish, which would be minimal cost to the county and still supply that service to the Spanish-speaking community.
Thank you. And the same question will go to Jeff Walden for the final answer of this section of the forum this evening.
Clerks do not have the statutory authority to change any part of Colorado's election laws. That is the sole prerogative of the legislature and the governor. As Mesa County Clerk, I would seek to partner with other clerks around the state, as well as with the Clerks Association, to lobby the legislature to amend state law to allow for the printing of ballots in other languages, primarily Spanish, given Colorado's demographics, as well as for any new ideas that advance the safety and accuracy of our elections, that will protect all of us from bad actors or partisan insiders bent on certifying a preferred electoral result, a fraudulent result that does not reflect the will of the American people. Every election is important. Every election counts. Please be sure to vote this November. Thank you.
And I want to thank the candidates for really sticking to the rules and respecting the audience this evening and sticking to the 1 minute time limit. I certainly appreciate it from a moderator's perspective. And I'm sure the viewers also appreciate that as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us here.
You're very welcome. With that, what I'd like to do is switch gears and move into the Mesa County Commission race. The candidates for this race, Bobby Daniel and Charles Pink. Before I get to the questions, I would like to provide a brief introduction about the Mesa County Commissioners. The Board of County Commissioners sets the direction for and oversees many important services for Mesa County, such as community development, including planning and building, transportation, human services, public works, and financing for the Board of Health. The first question tonight, and for the remainder of this section of the forum, will go to Bobby Daniel. And that question is, please tell us why you are running for this office, paying particular attention to your qualifications for this office. And I'll just provide a reminder to the candidates, you have 1 minute.
Great, thank you. I have a career spanning small business ownership, public policy, and community service. I'm a Western Colorado native. I grew up in Palisade and went to college at Mesa State, where I studied political science. I served in AmeriCorps, ran my own successful business with a trade skill for over a decade. I'm currently the board chairman of the Colorado Women's Alliance, a statewide policy organization committed to the research, advocacy, and education around issues most important to independent women voters. I earned my real estate license in 2019 to gain a greater understanding and foundation of land use, zoning, property rights, and land development. I was also appointed to serve on the Mesa County Citizen Review Board. I'm a Grand Junction Rotary member and a Mesa County Cattlemen Association member, and I also serve on the St. Mary's Foundation Board. I'm running for the Board of Mesa County Commissioners to serve my community, to deeply listen, to open up about opportunities, and to keep our county stable, consistent, so we can continue to thrive.
Thank you. And Charlie Pink, same question.
Yeah, I felt like it was my civic duty. I don't believe candidates running unopposed is very democratic. So I felt like throwing my ring in the hat was the right thing to do. And I still believe that. Secondly, I believe Mesa County could be better served. I'm an electrician and a solar installer. I'm a blue collar guy. I feel like I represent the working class in Mesa County, and I'm out there talking to them and seeing what their needs are. I feel like the county government should run like a construction site. You know, on construction sites, we have plumbers and electricians and drywallers and pipe fitters, and they all need to come together and communicate. They speak different languages, they have different philosophies, but we got to put all those philosophies aside, come together for a final project, and we get those projects done, and in the end, we have something we can be proud of. And that's exactly the quality I think a strong county commissioner needs to serve in the public.
Thank you, Charlie. And the second question, back to Bobby Daniel. What is your vision for Mesa County, and what is the most important thing you can do to achieve that vision?
Yes, the Board of Mesa County Commissioners is tasked with building out infrastructure so you can live your best life. My vision for Mesa County is to open up doors to opportunities so your dreams can be big. You know, real life is hard at times, it's complex, people are complex, and the one thing you should be able to count on is your local government that's stable, consistent, fiscally responsible, ethic, and transparent. You know, and I want to work for solutions with our community partners, the private sector, nonprofits, in the spirit of collaboration, making the fabric of our community stronger, making sure economic health continues to thrive. And we can also address affordability as we lean into civic engagement for solutions that are oriented in self-government.
Charlie Pink, same question.
Well, my vision would be to maintain and improve our quality of life here in Mesa County. Responsible development. If we develop too quickly, We strain our infrastructure, we use up too much water, and we cause, we lose agricultural lands. If we develop too slowly, then our economy suffers. There's job loss, we lose work, we lose revenue. And to do that, I would work with my fellow commissioners and City Council and Mesa County Planning Department to generate ideas to facilitate that vision.
Great, thank you. Bobby Daniel, what is the greatest challenge facing Mesa County and how will you address it?
Well, we're actually doing remarkably well as a county, and that's largely contributed to our county's steady hand that's positioned us well coming out of the pandemic. Businesses and families do want to invest and build a life here. I do think the greatest challenge that we're facing today is a crippling 16% inflation rate, where a dollar won't go as far as it once did. And everyone is feeling the effects of inflation, energy and labor shortages. And this is, probably one of the most pressing issues we face, quite honestly. And I will work to make sure that our county is fiscally responsible and able to meet the critical needs of our community moving forward.
Charlie Pink.
Well, there's a lot of challenges facing Mesa County right now. Mental health, homelessness, quality and support of our schools, cost of living, tax rates and policies, and land use are all challenges. But I believe the most important challenge we face today is water. Water is something that's going to be a problem right now. It's in the future, and we're gonna have to start addressing it. And we're gonna have to start, realizing that it's very real. The CSU extension's working on more efficient ways to water for our agriculture. But we also need to hold the lower basin states accountable. We're not draining Lake Powell, they are. So I'd like to see the lower basin states come up with a plan to show that they're also addressing the water issues and they're also conserving water and doing their part.
This fourth question, go to Bobby Daniel. And the question is this: residents of Mesa County are aware that there is a shortage of affordable housing in the county. Do you share this concern? And if so, what specific actions would you take to improve the supply of affordable housing?
Absolutely. Affordable and attainable housing are also, it's a significant issue impacting Mesa County. With Colorado's high regulatory burden coupled with the labor energy shortage, rising inflation, supply chain disruptions, and often complex land regulations, the outlook for affordability for our workforce and starter homes can be significantly improved. The Mesa County is currently updating its 1996 land use plan with the community input that will help guide our land use policy and development in incorporated areas in Mesa County. There are additional opportunities to help reduce housing costs when looking at land use codes and to encourage the private sector to build dwelling units at a lower price point with multiple units, adjusting impact fees if needed, and streamlining the process altogether. As a county, I will continue to work together to make homeownership a reality for more people.
Charlie Pink, same question.
I do share this concern. First of all, I'd like to clarify that affordable housing doesn't mean low-income housing. It means that the housing would cost someone 30% of their total annual income, which is considered a reasonable amount of your income to pay for housing. I'd like to support the City Council's measure on this upcoming ballot, 2A, 2B, and 2C. This would help create revenue to build housing at a market value that is affordable for people that help businesses keep their doors open. I'd like to support incentives for development and investment in affordable housing.
Bobby Daniel, the question for you. Jobs and wages are a contributor to the affordable housing shortage. Although the commission does not directly control jobs and wages, its policies can indirectly influence them. What specific actions would you take to improve jobs and wages?
Yes, a living wage is what we all should be striving for when setting public policy. And the fastest way to increase wage earning power and real wages is to decrease price setting by governments within the free enterprise, lowering taxes, and letting people keep more of their money, and letting people freely meet the needs of their community without unnecessarily complicating it. At a county level, we can do our part to value our employees with competitive free market pay and benefits. And we can also decrease regulations and speed up those permitting process for a more thriving economic engine that provides more work, provides more jobs, more opportunities, and higher wages.
1 minute, Charlie Pink.
As a commissioner, I think we can influence some infrastructure that makes jobs or working more accessible to people. One is transportation. We need to make sure people can get to and from their jobs, and have access to, their places of employment, and businesses have access to employees. I'll scrutinize the budget to see where the wages of our county officials, police, enforcement, human resources, and health department, and others could be improved to match with the rising cost of living here in Mesa County. As a union member, I believe organized labor is very important. I think we need to support organized labor. I'm a member of the IBEW, the Local 111. And that helps stabilize people's jobs and maintains a living wage. You have an entity that goes to bat for you and will help you and help employees negotiate a living wage so they don't fall behind in today's rising costs.
Bobby Daniel. The current Mesa County Strategic Plan, Mesa Together, includes supporting community efforts which improve public health as a goal. Many citizens have difficulty accessing healthcare, including behavioral healthcare. What specific actions would you take to support community efforts to improve public health, including behavioral health?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been involved in many roundtable focus groups around local solutions for homelessness, suicide, and mental health in Mesa County. As a result of partnerships and collaboration, we can come together to address our county's emerging challenges, such as mental health and homelessness. And I will support the Mesa County Health Hub and the Mesa County Intensive Case Management Unit that is launching this fall. And I will also work to meet the ongoing needs of our community through continuous efforts to work and build efficient avenues to get critical access and services to the people of Mesa County.
Charlie Pink.
Well, I'd like to partner with Janet Rowland and Cody Davis in this, this very crucial war on behavioral health. They've already started the initiative of Hub, to increase information and economic support for those facing mental health and behavioral issues. They have also partnered with Todd Rawwell to reduce recidivism that occurs when people are underserved and end up facing law enforcement multiple times. And I would absolutely do as well to make sure Mesa County gets the help that it needs.
The seventh question for Bobby Daniel. Mesa Together also has a goal to strengthen the county's long-term fiscal health. Please tell us your assessment of the county's current fiscal health and how you would strengthen it.
Yes. Great question. A crucial aspect of servant leadership, especially when it comes to fiscal policies being transparent, ethical, and responsible to the people you serve. It's important to have an open door, a listening ear to hear how people's lives are really affected. Listening can go a long way to meaningful and impactful budgets, as fiscal responsibility it's crucial for Mesa County to thrive. And I will work to prioritize strengthening our county's ability to compete without overburdening taxpayers. And I will work to address public safety, roads, bridges, and infrastructure as a priority in our county budgets.
The same question to you, Charlie Pink.
I think Mesa County is doing really well fiscally. They've been doing a good job of balancing budgets, and I think revenues and everything are balanced out. Expenditures and revenues are balanced. I'd want to encourage a movement that ensures slow and steady growth of Mesa County residents, know that they're being physically mindful and that we're spending money responsibly, and we are taking care of our infrastructure.
Now a question about civic engagement. Both the League of Women Voters and Mesa Together encourage civic engagement. Civic engagement requires that all citizens have access to participate in county's public processes. The meetings in which the commissioners take action are held at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Would you support or oppose changing the time of the meetings? And please explain your answer.
Yes, civic engagement is one of my larger, bigger passions. I think it's close to my heart, inviting neighbors into our government, into our process. This is your government, and we want to bring you along. So I'm definitely open up to asking that question to our citizens, whether that's a survey or questions on their ideal time. I'm definitely open up to moving that around and seeing what works best for them.
And Charlie Pink, the same question on civic engagement.
I think the county's done a pretty good job of making our meetings available to the public. It's very important that people show up to them and listen to what's going on in the county level. They can check in with Zoom meetings, and they can go back and look at former meetings and different subjects that were talked about in these the county level. But I would be open to moving the meetings. I mean, if the public supported that, I don't think there's any problem with finding different time to hold those at 9 a.m. and Wednesdays and Thursdays doesn't work for the general public.
Okay, continuing that line of engagement and participation, the ninth question goes to you, Bobby Daniel. And that is, language is another barrier to full citizen participation. Would you support live Spanish interpretation and American Sign Language interpretation as common practice during commissioner meetings? Again, please explain your answer.
Yes, well, I love civic engagement again, and if language is a barrier for our population, we definitely want to look at that to meet the needs and better bring in local government to wherever we can. So I'm definitely open to having that conversation for sure.
And Charlie Pink.
I agree that language is a barrier. I mean, the Spanish-speaking people do develop land, they do buy products, they do live in our county, and then they do have to come to these meetings and communicate. Sometimes the burden falls on them to bring a family member or someone along, sometimes a child, to interpret these meetings for them that may not understand what's going on. So I think it'd be a really good idea for the county to find room in the budget to facilitate an interpreter for the Spanish speakers in the county.
Thank you. Our final question, and this is about governmental cooperation, and it goes to Bobby Daniel. The question, the county commission can greatly improve the quality of citizens' lives with its actions. However, the county commission is only one of the governmental bodies with power to improve the quality of life in Mesa County. Other significant entities include the Colorado State Legislature, the Bureau of Land Management is another example. How will you work with the legislature and the Bureau of Land Management to ensure that Mesa County has good jobs with good wages, good housing, good access to healthcare, and good access to recreation? You have 1 minute.
Yeah, I think it's very important when you're dealing with politics. It's the art of working with people, and it's very relational. And if you can have better relationships with your community partners and other agencies, you can get a lot of stuff done in the spirit of collaboration. And partnerships have always made Mesa County very unique. I will work diligently to lean into those working partnerships to put Mesa County community first. I will work with our state legislative body, the Bureau of Land Management, CPW, Mesa County Workforce Center, CMU, and our local and city town council members. We have a wealth of great people in this community, and I can't wait to get to work and build those relationships for the best of Mesa County.
And Charlie Pink, your final answer on the final question.
Yeah, we're going to hear the word collaboration a lot. I think we have to work with the state and city governments to come up with ideas on how we develop and grow our county, and how we create jobs here and work on wages. I believe that all political parties and groups, as well as educators, specialists, and community members, have insight that promote property in Mesa County. I know that I can and will find common ground with all the players to keep this great state going. And then we'll work together.
Okay, with that, I would like to thank candidates Bobby Daniel and Charlie Pink for spending some time with us this evening. It's greatly appreciated. And if I can echo the same compliment I gave to the county clerk and recorders candidates, thank you for staying disciplined with your time and respecting the viewers' time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. And with that, I want to move on to the third and final office for our forum this evening, and that is the office of the coroner. The candidates with us this evening, Dean Havlick and Megan Johnson. A really quick rundown of the coroner's office and responsibilities. By Colorado law, certain types of deaths must be investigated by a county coroner's office. This office is overseen by the county coroner, an elected official. It's the responsibility of the coroner's office to determine the cause and manner of death. Making these determinations requires a complete, unbiased investigation of the scene of death. This investigation may require that an autopsy be conducted. So with that information on the coroner's office, I would like to start the question and answer portion. And in alphabetical order, the first question will go to Dean Havlick. And that question is the following. Please tell us why you're running for this office, paying particular attention to your qualifications for the office.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm a board certified forensic pathologist. I did my medical school training in Philadelphia. Then went to Albuquerque to do my general pathology and forensic pathology training. And I moved to Grand Junction with my wife, Melissa, and 2 daughters 21 years ago, a little over 21 years ago. I essentially moved to Grand Junction to be your coroner, to be your forensic pathologist. I was the elected Mesa County coroner for 12 years before I was term limited in January 2019. And I really missed being coroner these last 4 years. I'm hoping to continue providing my skills and expertise as coroner. I'm hoping to be your next elected coroner. There is a shortage of forensic pathologists in the U.S. There's only about 15 in Colorado, and I'm the only active board certified forensic pathologist here in Western Colorado. And a forensic pathologist is almost always the best choice to be coroner if there is one available. I'm really eager to be the next Mesa County coroner.
Megan Johnson, 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm running for a Mesa County coroner because I agree with the Colorado Coroner Association statement that the coroner's office needs to be an independent agency from the related departments it works with, including law enforcement and hospitals. And so that is something I bring to this office, is that I don't currently work for any local related agencies. I have been a licensed funeral director for 10 years in the state of Minnesota, which required me to have a bachelor's degree as well as an internship program after that, focusing on mortuary science and funeral service. I've worked alongside law enforcement and medical examiners during that time. And then here locally, since I decided to undertake this campaign, I worked hand in hand with our current coroner, Victor Yan, and have shadowed directly underneath him to learn exactly what Mesa County needs from their coroner.
Thank you. Dean Havlick. What is your vision for the coroner's office? And what is the most important thing you can do to implement that vision?
I aim to bring everything, I want to bring everything back locally in Mesa County. So currently, since I left office, the forensics work has all been done by non-Mesa County citizens. So if I become coroner, I'll bring all that back locally, and that will improve a lot of things. That include mainly delays and autopsies like that. Right now, only autopsies are only done a couple of times a week. If I'm coroner, I'll be doing everything locally, so it'll be done every day. And in that way, families will get timely results. Law enforcement will get timely results. Attorneys will get timely results. And it'll just be better for everyone involved. Autopsies are done daily and done by local Mesa County citizens. The other big thing is that national accreditation. That I am a big believer in that. I worked hard to get our office nationally accredited when I was coroner. It was lost when I left office, and just mainly because a forensic pathologist was not the coroner. So I'll bring that back quickly.
Megan Johnson.
I have a vision of continuing largely the level of professionalism and service that the current administration provides to the community of Mesa County. I do want to, they are already working to get accreditation from the National Association of Medical Examiners as an office, so that there isn't that fluctuation in the future. It's not based on the doctor that's performing the autopsies or the accreditation of the coroner. The office has that stability, and that's what I really want to bring the office long term and maintain that our local hospital, St. Mary's, provides a number of our testing, and then we work with the forensic labs with local law enforcement. Though our quantitative testing is outsourced, just because that's really what most agencies do because of the labs necessary there. And I do want to hire a local pathologist full time.
Thank you. Dean Havlick, what is the greatest challenge facing the coroner's office, and how would you address that if elected?
Like most coroners' office these days, the greatest challenge is the increase in drug-related deaths and how that affects the volume of investigation that the office oversees. It is very important to ensure these deaths are investigated appropriately and efficiently, and resources are used efficiently. Drug-related deaths are important to understand for the public health department, healthcare providers, and just public in general. When I was coroner, I instituted a special drug-related death report that I put out starting with the opioid epidemic in 2017. I'll start that again, get that information out to the public about drug-related deaths. So that's the main challenge right now.
Thank you. Megan Johnson. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you.
No
I'd
worries.
say a challenge would be actually hiring a forensic pathologist, because the supply does not match the demand the United States is experiencing right now. I think achieving the accreditation for the office itself will really help in that goal, as well as the reference and recommendation of the 2 acting pathologists that currently serve the coroner's office now. I do think that also the unknown of an election in general affects the staff and related agencies. And so a goal would be just working FC by the end of my term, if we could be moving forward to different options to maybe offering appointed roles as opposed to an election campaign that could really create some biases in this whole journey.
Moving on to the next question, it will be posed first to Dean Havlick. The question: the responsibilities of the coroner's office requires it to interact with other agencies. What sort of relationship and experience do you have working with agencies that you will likely coordinate with, such as hospitals, fire departments, and police departments?
Yes, effective communication is extremely important for the coroner's office. It's actually one of the biggest areas that the coroner's office can be strong in. I know a lot of the physicians in this area, and they appreciate me giving them timely communication in regards to information on how their patients have died. I've interacted with every law enforcement agency here in Mesa County on a regular basis, and it is important to talk with them and give them results in a timely manner. That way they can give you, timely is very important, and that way they can make their arrest, they can collect additional evidence, things like that. Had a lot of experience discussing cases with attorneys, including district attorney's office. I've been in court almost 100 times now, and as witnesses for expert witness for both the DA's office and the public defender's office. So most important communication is for the families, and it's important to talk to the families in an effective manner and timely manner. And I think families appreciate talking to the forensic pathologist as their corner.
Megan Johnson, same question in 1 minute.
Since I decided to try and become elected as Mesa County Coroner, I requested the guidance of the coroner currently serving the community, Victor Yan. And he's been kind enough to really take me under the wing of the office itself, working with the current staff, including pathologists, the counselors that are now being offered to the community that weren't previously not there, to really help them for what programs are available in that time of tragedy. It's not always law enforcement involved, though I have been there quite often to really just listen. What is it that we provide for you? What is your hopes? What is your past experiences? And provide context. So I've been building a lot of experiences and physically placing myself in these situations. So I'm not just a voice or a name, I'm a familiar presence and becoming a trusted source myself.
And this will be the final question for the candidates for coroner's office this evening, and the final question for the forum tonight. And this question goes to Dean Havlick. The League of Women Voters strongly supports transparency in government as an important component of good governance. In addition to the coroner's office website and annual reports, are there any other modes of communication you anticipate using to communicate to the public if elected to the office?
Yeah, so annual reports are actually something I started for the coroner's office when I was elected when I was first elected in 2007, and the office hadn't previously done these. And annual reports actually provide pretty valuable data, not only for the public, but for other investigative agencies such as the health department. And it tells you why people are dying in the community and how to prevent those. Those annual reports will continue if I'm lucky enough to be elected coroner. And we will also do special reports, like I previously mentioned, the drug-related death report. I'll start those again, do those. That way the community can understand what's going on with those. Do other special reports. I will get timely information to the media through our website and social media. Currently, there's a delay in that type of information, and just because autopsies aren't done timely, and that will happen if I become coroner. So, and I also have this pretty cool, I think, Facebook page and Instagram page that does an educational type piece, and I plan on continuing doing that.
And Megan Johnson.
I will continue the current administration is really transparent with the public. Autopsy reports in Colorado are public record. Other counties charge for access of those. Email your request with the proper form. You'll get a response immediately. I'll continue the quantitative drug testing, which is included in those drug reports, but also working with organizations that are there to prevent folks coming into my office. There's a lot more folks other than, like I mentioned, criminal involved deaths, but suicide data from the coroner's office doesn't talk about those that didn't achieve their goal. Working with suicide awareness groups, saying, what are we missing? What can be done to really lower the folks coming into me? Talking about drug trends in real time, and what can we do to get to these persons before they're hooked. Really preventative measures is my goal, and I think that really helps the public.
Thank you. Thank you. And with that, that's the final question. And I would like to thank all of the candidates this evening for participating in, and to the League of Women Voters for hosting this important forum. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Jan Mormon.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you so much to all of our candidates for participating in this evening's forum. We appreciate our listeners because one of the hallmarks of a strong democracy is listening to and asking questions of our elected officials. And I want to thank in particular the members of the local League of Women Voters who have done so much work behind the scenes, particularly Deb Stetler, who has made this a labor of love to get this forum together for Mesa County, as well as all the volunteers who helped her, and also to thank our local member, Deborah Kalish, for participating in this forum behind the scenes, providing timing. I also want to thank the League of Women Voters of Colorado for the hosting this webinar and providing the technology for us. One of the things that we'd like to encourage all of our listeners to do is to make sure that they use this forum as part of the information that they're using to make decisions about how to vote. Next week, ballots will be sent out to all of the voters, registered voters in Mesa County. If you do not receive a ballot, then call the Mesa County Clerk and Recorder office, and they will help you figure out why you might not have received that ballot. Our election is November 8th, and we know that you will want to get more information. And so we strongly suggest that you look at vote411.org, because candidates, all of the candidates for all the offices that will be on your ballot will have answered questions and will be available at vote411.org. And with that, that concludes our forum for today. Thank you all so much for joining us, and have a good evening.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.